Subscribing to The Observer on YouTube couldn't be easier, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that. First, navigate to www.youtube.com/TheObserverNJ. Once you get there, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Next to the subscribe button, click the down arrow and then all. And that's it. You're subscribed, and now anytime The Observer is live, you will be notified. Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you live from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 14th day of October in the year 2025. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesdays, no matter where it is you are in the country. Here in the Northeast, still a little bit overcast. 62 degrees right now in downtown Kearney after a couple of days of a crap load of rain. But we hope you're enjoying your day, no matter where it is you are. And as you do each and every Tuesday, you welcome me into your home so that I can bring you this week's news. And I have a couple of housekeeping items that I need to bring to your attention before we get to some of the news stories this week. And I want to remind you about this Harrison Cancer League event that is taking place on the 26th of October. And we got this from Addie Boyd, who is a member of the Harrison Cancer League, and they are having an event, Spiritual Awakenings with the People of Mystical World, over in Lyndhurst, and there's going to be readings and things of that nature at this event, which takes place at the Elks Lodge in Harrison, 406 Harrison Avenue. The cost is $35, and there are optional private readings and things of that nature. So all of the information that you would need to attend this event is right here on the screen. If you are interested in going, you can certainly get in touch with anybody that's on the screen. I think Joan Michelson is taking checks, and her phone number is on that screen as well. Maria Bradley, I see her name on there too. Just pause the video right here, and you can jot down those numbers and get that stuff all taken care of. But this is a nice event the Harrison Cancer League puts on, and if you're into that type of thing in the mystical world, or the if you want to get a reading or things of that nature, it should be a very fun day. I know Addie raves about it. She talks about this all the time, and it's one of her favorite events of the year. So please check that out when you get a chance. And before we move on to anything else, I want to welcome in two people who I know for sure are watching us here on the air today. One is my dear friend Manny Ventoso. Manny, good to see you, buddy, and hope everything is well. And my cousin is also here, Darian Scalamoni. Darian, good to see you too. Darian was my old, he's my cousin, but we used to do shows together back in the late 2000s. I mean, we were going back a long time ago when he was just in high school, and now he's doing some great things himself with podcasting and things of that nature too, and I'm looking forward. We got to catch up very, very soon. We were supposed to do it, but the damn Yankees got in the way of that. Sorry about that, Darian. We will do it very, very soon. Now, this is coming up as well. The DEA Take Back Day is set for the 25th of October from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. over at Kearney Police Headquarters, 237 Laurel Avenue. Just remember this. I hate to have to stress this as I do each and every year, but after certain things that George King will certainly remember, the only medication that can be taken back are pills. They cannot take liquids, they cannot take syringes, and you cannot bring any illegal drugs to this event, so don't do it. But from 10 to 2, any type of legal medication that you want to get rid of, bring it, no questions asked, and the DEA will discard of it. But don't forget also, at the Kearney Police Headquarters, they have a mailbox that's there universally. It's always there. So you can check that out when you get a chance if you don't have the ability to go on the 25th to the drug take back, but it's always a good thing. Welcome in Carol Manley, who happens to be watching us as well. Carol, it is good to see you as well. Now, this is very strange thing that happened that we had to report yesterday, and it wasn't in the paper because it came in too late to make it to the print edition of the paper. But apparently, the other day, a woman was in line at the Marshall store, and the line wasn't moving quick enough for her. And so she got into some kind of altercation with another woman in the store, and the suspect in this case, she went back and she got a box of knives that are for sale in the store. She took one of the knives and she stabbed the victim. It is just mind-boggling. And according to the story from Detective Sergeant Mike Gontarchuk, the reason this happened was because she didn't like the fact that the line wasn't moving fast enough for her. And so because of that, she just decided to stab the victim. I don't know what to say. I don't know whether I would ever step foot in that Marshall's. There's so many incidents that you hear about going on in that place, but that is just obscene. Now, on social media, there were some people who were asking, because the suspect was not charged with attempted murder. I don't know the answer to that right now, and I'm sure it is possible. I'm sure it is possible that further charges could be brought on this person who did this. But as of now, I think it was aggravated assault and a couple of other charges, but not attempted murder just yet. But logically speaking, you see something like that, and you think, yeah, that more than likely would be something that would come with an attempted murder charge. But I don't know how that works. I don't know. I think it's the prosecutor's office that has to make a charge like that. I will look into it and I will get you guys an update on that. But the whole incident was just so bizarre. Anything over there by Marshall's lately just seems like it's always something ridiculous. But fortunately, the victim did not receive life-threatening injuries and will survive. But my God, imagine walking in to just buy some clothes or a pair of shoes or something like that over at the Marshalls, and then you see this happen. What a disgrace that something like this happens, and over the dumbest of dumb reasons. Carol Manley says, so frightening. Prayers for the victims. And we also see here that my dear friend Carmen De Jesus is also here with us. My Aunt Annie Troy is here with us. Private security is definitely needed. Bill, it certainly is. It is certainly necessary, because I don't know whether or not they have anybody over there at this point, and I don't know if if the Kearney Police Department has anybody. I doubt it. If they have, that kind of incident, I don't think if Jordy Jean was hanging out over there, anything like this would have gone down, or it would have been as bad as it was. But we'll find out what the situation is on all of these things as this case moves along. But just a very, very unfortunate stabbing over at the Marshalls. Now, I want to talk to you about a video that Jim Hempel created at Lincoln Middle School. And we'll talk about it on the other side of the video. But it's about bike safety. We'll talk about it on the end, but watch what Jimmy Hempel does in this video. It's a great video, and the production value is just tremendous, the work that they're doing over at Lincoln Middle School. So take a look at this video, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. Hold on.
Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Hempel, your principal at Lincoln Middle School. At LMS, we take pride not only in our students' academic success, but in preparing them to be safe, responsible, and caring members of our community. In recent weeks, several teenagers across New Jersey have tragically lost their lives in accidents involving electric bikes and scooters. We cannot ignore these heartbreaking events. We all see it. Young people riding too fast through intersections, weaving between cars, or choosing not to wear helmets. In an urban area like ours, these choices put lives at risk. At Lincoln, we set high expectations in the classroom. We also set high expectations for safety and responsibility. Every student riding an e-bike or scooter to school is required to wear a helmet. Riders must follow the rules of the road, stop at stop signs and red lights, stay alert at intersections, and always yield to pedestrians. These rules aren't just about compliance, they're about protecting lives. Parents, we need your partnership. At school, we will continue to teach and model safe habits, but your voice at home is just as powerful. Talk to your children about responsibility, about respect for others, and about the importance of coming home safely every single day. As a parent myself, I know what matters most. When our children leave home, we want them to return safely. By working together, families, educators, and the wider community, we can keep our children safe, and we can continue to set the standard for excellence in education and in life. Thank you.
So that was Jim Hempel, the principal of Lincoln Middle School. Some great tips there, indeed. And they do take this very, very seriously at Lincoln Middle School. But I'm afraid that in a lot of cases, I don't know whether it's that they just take the helmets off when they get away from school, or if some of the kids are older, maybe from the high school. But if you look at the number of kids who are riding on Kearney Avenue at dismissal time, I mean, this is my experience. I don't mean to say that this is the experience everywhere, but it just seems that 9 out of 10 bikes that you see have kids riding without helmets. And as Bill Pettigrew said in the chat room, the double riders, where two people are on one bike, which is completely illegal in the town of Kearney. There are rules and regulations that govern this in the town of Kearney. And, the police have a busy enough job as it is. And these kids are out there and they're doing these things, riding against the flow of traffic, riding in the middle of the street down the double yellow line on Kearney Avenue. On the sidewalk. I just go on and on and on. And it's remarkable what you see, really, that so many people, young people, disregard what the rules and regulations are. And the other part of this is that there are some severe penalties for parents if the kids get caught doing this and riding illegally and not using the proper safety equipment. And so it's just so important for all of us to be cognizant of this, for parents to be aware that kids need to have these helmets on and the right safety equipment. Because if the police stop you and you are not wearing a helmet, they're not just going to take your bike away. You're not getting that bike back. Those bikes do not get returned once they are removed from somebody. So every time a young person goes out there and is riding their bikes along without the proper equipment and driving against the flow of traffic and darting in and out of traffic and doing stupid things, you're risking the chance of, first of all, getting killed or killing somebody else and causing an accident that may not necessarily be the fault of the driver, but just imagine with having to live with something like that after it happens. So, folks, heed the advice that Jim Hempel has shared here with the bike situation in town. We don't want to see any kind of statistics in our communities. I mean, it's god awful what happened in Cranford and in some of the other towns in Union County over the last couple of weeks, but let's just hope it never happens here. And please do your part. Whatever it is, do your part to make sure things like this don't happen here, and it's very important to do so. Let's see what else we got. Larry Hanlon is here. Sean McDonald is also here. I had mentioned Bill Pettigrew is also here. Alexis Sheridan is joining us. Eileen Matthey is also here. Eileen is here almost every week. Thank you all for joining us. And then, of course, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily speak up in the chat room. So thank you to all of you for being here as well. I appreciate that very much. Appreciate all of you being here today. Now, let's find this week's newspaper. I'm going to skip a little bit around today. This front page story was really neat that Laura Compton did about this rock learning program at some of the Harrison Public Schools. I hope you'll check that out. You already know about the prescription drug take-back, but this was a big deal for West Hudson. Jason Aldean played at Sports Illustrated Stadium, and this was only the second major concert in the history of that place. And apparently, for those who were there, including our own Jace McPhee, who is our reporter/intern this year, it was a great night. I don't know anything about Jason Aldean. I will never pretend like I like country music at all, or, the politics that go involved with country music. However, Jace said in his review that it was a fantastic event, and our own Lisa was there with Johnny, and they all loved what the concert was and what it was all about on Friday of last week. So this really is a big deal to see a big name like him, Jason Aldean, playing in Harrison, New Jersey, when you think about it. Of course, Aldean was on the stage when that terrible shooting took place in Las Vegas a few years ago, and it was certainly good that everything was nice and copacetic in Harrison. But for those who attended the concert, if any of you here in the chat room and you were at the concert, let us know how it was, if you enjoyed it. And what Jace is saying, too, in the story that he wrote is that he can't imagine that there won't be many, many more concerts at this venue. When you think that there's only been two in the 15-year history or however long the place has been open, that's pretty remarkable, only two. So we'll see what happens there. And let me tell you quickly a little bit about Jace McPhee. Jace is our intern this year. He has been writing a couple of stories for us already, and he's a great kid. I've known him for a long time, know his dad and family, so we welcome Jace aboard, and he's already done some pretty neat work, and I'm sure he's going to continue to do that in the future. He's a college student right now in Tennessee, and he was back for the concert. So he flew back for the concert, and we are very, very fortunate and very, very grateful to have Jace on board with us this year. Now, let's just take a couple of other things. A lot of these stories in this week's paper you have possibly seen already on theobserver.com. This, of course, is a story about these two who are riding around in a stolen car. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this. If you are in a stolen vehicle and you drive to Lyndhurst, you're going to get caught. There's cameras everywhere. And these automated license plate readers are really good. And Kearney has some too. I know North Darlington does. Harrison, all the towns around here have them. But Lyndhurst is a fort. I mean, you cannot go anywhere in Lyndhurst and expect to get out if you're driving a stolen car. Bottom line, don't do it. Don't do it. And then, of course, these two had narcotics on them when they were arrested. Jason Bernstein has 3 sports stories this week, including an athlete of the week. There are 2 pages of classifieds in this week's paper, so if you're looking for a place to rent, if you're looking for a job, there are plenty of items that you will find in the back of this week's edition of The Observer. Please check them out. And that is going to do it for this week's edition of The Observer Live. I want to thank each and every one of you who are here today. There's a good number of you who are here watching this broadcast. Don't forget, we're coming up on the election in Kearney and North Darlington, and we'll get more into that in the next few weeks as we get a little bit closer. You may have noticed in this week's edition of The Observer, the Doyle team had a full-page ad in this week's edition. I do know that Sidney Ferreira, who is running for the mayoralty, and his team did want to put an ad in this week, but they weren't able to because it was past our deadline on Monday. So this is getting pretty interesting, to say the very least. And you will certainly be able to read that in this full-page ad here on page 5, how strong this one was. And I'm sure there will be more coming up in the coming weeks, and we will certainly bring anything to you with the election as we get a little bit closer. So, from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, it's Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Thank you all for being here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.